John Wayne smiled. But his eyes weren't smiling. He was on live television. 12 million people were watching. And Clint Eastwood had just called him a relic of the past. The studio was silent. The camera zoomed in on Wayne. Everyone held their breath. Because when John Wayne got angry, fists talked. But Duke didn't say anything. He just smiled. That cold, dangerous smile. And the next 60 seconds would be the most humiliating moment of Clint Eastwood's career. This is a story Hollywood doesn't want to tell, because it pits two legends against each other. But the truth is this: sometimes the greatest battles are won not with words but with silence. Let's go back to 1973. America was changing. The Vietnam War had ended. The Watergate scandal had broken. People had stopped believing in heroes. Hollywood was changing too. Old Western films were dying. Cowboys and white-hatted heroes were considered outdated. The new generation wanted different things: dark, realistic, anti-heroes. And that new generation had a face: Clint Eastwood. Eastwood became famous in the 1960s with Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy. A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Spaghetti westerns, shot in Italy, with strange music, full of violence. Eastwood's characters weren't traditional cowboys. Dirty beard, filthy clothes, immoral, men who killed for money. Not heroes, survivors. In 1971 came Dirty Harry. Eastwood played a cop. But what kind of cop? One who broke rules, beat criminals. The man who said, "Do you feel lucky today?" America loved it. Because Eastwood was real, dirty, human. But one man didn't love it: John Wayne. Wayne was 66 in a 50-year career, over 150 films, America's hero, king of cowboys. But he wasn't fashionable anymore. Now he was seen as too clean. Now they said not realistic. Wayne resented this, because he loved westerns. Classic westerns. Good guys win, bad guys lose. Justice wins. Eastwood's films were different. No good guy, no bad guy, just gray. Everyone's dirty. Everyone's trying to survive. Wayne had said in an interview, "These new films, these dark westerns, they're sending the wrong message to America. We're teaching children there are no heroes. That's dangerous." The words reached Eastwood, and Eastwood responded. In another interview, John Wayne is from the old generation. He thinks the world is black and white. But reality isn't like that. Reality is complex. And my films show reality. The two men didn't know each other, had never spoken, but the press had made them enemies. Old versus new, classic versus modern, Wayne versus Eastwood. October 19, The Dick Cavett Show, a famous talk show, live broadcast. The producers had an idea. Let's invite Wayne and Eastwood to the same show. Let them face off, talk. The ratings would explode. Wayne's agent didn't like the idea. "Duke, this is a trap. They'll make you look old, outdated." But Wayne was proud. "I'm not afraid to face anyone, especially that spaghetti-eating kid." Eastwood's agent also warned, "Clint, this man is a legend. Be respectful." Eastwood shrugged. "Legend maybe, but he's wrong. And I'm going to tell the truth." The show would air Monday night, October 20th, 1973, at 10 p.m., New York, NBC Studios. That afternoon, Wayne arrived at the studio early. He wore a tuxedo, black, elegant, hair slicked back, face serious. He sat in the makeup room, looked in the mirror. He was 66, but looked 7. Cancer had aged him. They'd removed his lung in 1964. Now he was living with one lung. Breathing was hard. Speaking was tiring. But Duke never complained. There was a knock. Dick Cavett entered. Tall, thin, intellectual-looking host. "Mr. Wayne, welcome. Thank you for coming here today." Wayne stood up, shook hands. "Dick, call me Duke. Everyone does." "Okay, Duke. So, I want to talk about the show. You know Clint Eastwood will also be here." "I know. You have some differences. Different views on Western films. I hope it'll be a respectful conversation." Wayne looked at him. "Dick, I'm always respectful. But respect is mutual. If that young man is disrespectful, I'll respond. Cavett swallowed. Of course, of course. The door knocked again. An assistant entered. Mr. Cavett, Mr. Eastwood has arrived. Bring him in. Clint Eastwood walked in. He was 43. Tall, 6'4", athletic. Jeans, brown suede jacket. Brown hair. Long, cool, cold blue eyes. Wayne looked at him, seeing him for the first time. Young, handsome, confident. Eastwood saw Wayne, hesitated, because this was John Wayne. The real John Wayne. The legend. For a moment Eastwood felt like a child. Admiring, scared. But then he remembered. No, I'm not a child anymore. I'm Clint Eastwood. And I'm right. Wayne stepped forward, extended his hand. Eastwood, pleased to finally meet you. Eastwood shook his hand. Mr. Wayne, it's an honor. Call me Duke. Okay. Duke. Two men looked at each other. Same height, but bodies very different. Wayne broader, but had lost weight. Eastwood younger, stronger. Cavett intervened. Gentlemen, great. Now we have 10 minutes until the show. Please get ready. Wayne and Eastwood went to makeup. Didn't sit next to each other. Waited silently. 10 p.m. Show started. Dick Cavett on stage. Camera rolled. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have a very special show. Two legends. Two Western icons. Together for the first time. Please, welcome John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. Applause. Music. Wayne walked on stage. That iconic walk. Slow, heavy, powerful. Eastwood followed. Faster. More athletic. Two men sat next to Cavett. Wayne on the right. Eastwood on the left. Cavett in the middle. Cavett smiled. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Wayne nodded. Eastwood too. Duke, let's start with you. You've been making Western films for 50 years. What does the Western mean to you? Wayne leaned forward. The Western is America. Simple. Straightforward. Good and evil. Justice and oppression. The Western teaches children. Be right. Be strong. Be brave. Cavett turned to Eastwood. Clint, you also make Westerns. But very different Westerns. What is the Western to you? Eastwood thought. The Western is real. Or it should be. The Old West wasn't romantic. It was dirty, violent, ruthless. And the characters weren't perfect. They were flawed. Trying to survive. Wayne frowned, but didn't say anything. Cavett continued. Duke, what do you think of Clint's films? Spaghetti Westerns. Dirty Harry. Wayne took a deep breath. I watched them. Some of them. Well-made films. Clint is talented. But, he stopped. But what? But the message is wrong. These films show that morality doesn't matter. Win is win. Kill and survive. That's a dangerous message. Eastwood stiffened. Morality doesn't matter. Did I say that? Or does reality say that? Wayne turned to him. What do you know about reality? What do you mean? Wayne raised his voice. Slightly. But enough. I mean, you made films in Italy. In studios. On artificial sets. I worked in real deserts. Real mountains. Real Western towns. I lived this world. You just imitated. The studio went silent. Cameras zoomed in. Eastwood's face reddened. I imitated. Mr. Wayne. Duke, I'm just making a more realistic Western. Your films, forgive me, but are fantasy. Cowboys don't always win. They don't always ride off into the sunset wearing white hats. Wayne smiled. That dangerous smile. Fantasy. I made 150 films. How many have you made? 10? 15. Quantity doesn't guarantee quality. Maybe. But experience teaches. And you still have a lot to learn, kid. The word kid hung in the air. Like an insult. Like condescension. Eastwood leaned forward. His voice was cold. I'm not a kid. I'm 43 years old. An actor. A director. And yes, I don't have as much experience as you. But I understand the modern world. Your world is over, Duke. Classic Western is dead. People don't believe in white-hatted heroes anymore. They don't believe in actors like you, who never went to war but played heroes. Silence. Death silence. Because Eastwood had just said that word, that forbidden sentence. Never went to war. Wayne's face froze. His eyes narrowed. Cavett tried to intervene. Gentlemen, maybe. Wayne raised his hand. No, Dick. Let him speak. Let him finish, Eastwood continued. Couldn't stop himself, because he was angry, humiliated, and wanted to strike. I'm just saying, you, John Wayne, are America's hero. But real heroes went to war. Real heroes died. You just acted. And now you're trying to teach me about real Western? Wayne sat there, didn't move, didn't speak. 12 million people were watching. Everyone expected Wayne to explode, to yell, to hit Eastwood. But Wayne just sat and smiled. That cold, calm, dangerous smile. Then he spoke. His voice so low the microphone barely caught it. Are you done? Eastwood hesitated. What? Are you done with what you have to say? I'm just. Because if you're done, now it's my turn. Wayne turned to Cavett. Dick, can I have a few minutes? Uninterrupted? Cavett hesitated, but nodded. Of course, Duke. Wayne turned to Eastwood, but didn't look at him. Looked at the camera, at 12 million people. Mr. Eastwood is right. I didn't go to World War II. I didn't go to Korea. I didn't go to Vietnam. I was 38 in 1945. I was exempted because I was married and had 4 children. The studio also pressured. They said essential personnel. He stopped, breathed. But the truth is, I was afraid. Afraid of losing my career. Afraid of losing everything. So I stayed and made films. War films. Playing heroes. But never being a real hero. Silence. The studio froze. And that's my shame. I carry it every day. Every war film I make. I feel it. You're a fraud, John. You're an actor. Eastwood was shocked. Didn't expect this. Wayne continued. But I learned something in 50 years. That heroism isn't just in war. Heroism is being right. Being honest. Showing children. Be strong, but be kind. Be brave, but be merciful. Wayne now turned to Eastwood. For the first time. In your films, Mr. Eastwood, there are no heroes, only survivors. And that's real maybe, but dangerous. Because children are watching. And they're learning. Morality doesn't matter. Only power matters. I didn't say that. You did. In your films. Harry Callahan breaks laws, but wins. So what's the message? Rules are for fools. Wayne leaned forward. I'm from the old generation. You're right. My world is ending. But your world isn't better. Just darker. Then Wayne stood up, slowly, like an old man. Dick, thank you for your hospitality, but I need to go now. Cavett was shocked. Duke, the show isn't over. It is for me. Wayne looked at Eastwood, one last time. Young man, you're talented. You'll be successful. But remember one thing. Fame is temporary. Money is temporary. But how you're remembered, that's forever. Wayne turned and walked off the stage. The camera followed him. That iconic walk. Heavy. Dignified. Alone. He went through the door and left. The studio was silent for 10 seconds. Then applause erupted. The live audience stood up. Applauded. Not for John Wayne. For honor. Eastwood sat there, in front of the microphone, in front of 12 million people, and died of shame. Because Wayne hadn't hit him, hadn't yelled, hadn't made him look small. Wayne had just told the truth, about himself, honestly, humbly, and that had made all of Eastwood's attacks meaningless. The show ended. Backstage, Eastwood tried to find Wayne, but Wayne had already left. The next day, newspapers exploded. John Wayne confesses on live TV. Duke, I'm a fraud. Wayne versus Eastwood, the legend won. But there were no critical headlines. Everyone was defending Wayne. The New York Times wrote, John Wayne gave one of the most honest moments in television history last night. He admitted his own flaws, and in doing so, showed he's a real hero. Eastwood was silent, gave no interviews, didn't apologize, but everyone knew. He regretted it. A week later, Eastwood received a package. Sender, John Wayne. Inside was an old book, The Virginian, by Owen Wister, one of the first Western novels. On the first page, Wayne's handwriting, Clint. The Western isn't just guns and blood. It's a story of honor and courage. The old generation and new generation can tell it differently, but the heart must be the same. Respectfully, Duke. Eastwood read the book that night, cover to cover, and understood something. 2 weeks later, Eastwood wrote a letter to Wayne. Duke, I apologize for what I said on live TV. I was disrespectful. I was wrong. You were right. I'm not better just because I make darker films, just different. And thank you for the book and the lesson. I'm still learning. Respectfully, Clint. Wayne received the letter, read it, smiled, and didn't respond. Because there was no need for a response. Eastwood had understood. That was enough. Clint Eastwood was directing a new film, The Outlaw Josey Wales, a Western. But this time it was different. Dark, but had heart. Violence, but morality. The hero flawed, but honorable. When the film was released, critics loved it. And John Wayne watched. At a private screening. When it ended, Eastwood approached Wayne, holding his breath. Duke, what did you think? Wayne looked at him, a long look, then smiled. Good film, real film, and it had heart. Eastwood breathed with relief. Thank you. That means a lot. Wayne put his hand on Eastwood's shoulder. You learned. That's what matters. Two men shook hands. This time different, with respect. Friendly. Clint, Wayne said, I'm getting old. My lung is shot. I probably don't have many films left. But you have a long road ahead. Make beautiful films. But don't forget, don't make them for entertainment. Make them to say something. Eastwood nodded. I will. I promise. That was their last conversation. But the most important one. June 1979. John Wayne died. Cancer. 72 years old. 500 people attended the funeral. Presidents, actors, directors, friends, and Clint Eastwood. Eastwood sat in the back row, silently, looking at the casket, and said something inside. Thanks. Apology. Farewell. After the funeral, someone approached Eastwood. Wayne's son, Ethan. Mr. Eastwood, my father left you something. He handed him an envelope. Brown, old. When Eastwood opened it, there was a photograph inside. John Wayne, from the 1950s, in cowboy costume. Young, strong, iconic. On the back, Wayne's handwriting. Clint, my time has come. Your time is beginning. Keep the Western alive. But remember, heroes must be real. You will. Duke. Eastwood held the photograph. His hands trembled, his eyes filled, and in that moment he understood. Wayne had forgiven him. Not only forgiven, but trusted. Over the following years, Clint Eastwood continued making westerns. But he'd changed. Pale Rider, dark but an honorable hero. Unforgiven, an old cowboy, settling with his past. Won the Best Picture Oscar. Gran Torino, not a western, but the spirit was western. An old man makes a sacrifice. In every film, Wayne's lesson was there. Heroes can be flawed, but must have heart. In 2003, in an interview, they asked Eastwood, Clint, what do you think about John Wayne? How was your relationship after that 1973 show? Eastwood stopped, thought, then spoke. John Wayne taught me the most important lesson of my life. And he didn't do it by yelling, not by fighting. Just by being real, honest. What was the lesson? That being strong isn't yelling. Being strong is telling the truth. Even when condemning yourself. That night I tried to humiliate him. I said he didn't go to war. And him, he stood up and said yes I didn't. And that's my shame. Eastwood wiped his eyes. In that moment I became small. Because he became giant. A real giant. And I understood. Ego doesn't win anything. Only honor does. The interviewer asked, did you ever apologize? Yes, by letter. He didn't respond. But when he came to watch Josey Wales, he smiled and said it had heart. That was acceptance of the apology. Do you regret it? What you said that night? Every day. Every damn day. I was young and foolish. I wanted to prove myself. But the wrong way. Not by attacking Wayne, but by learning from Wayne. Eastwood stopped, took a deep breath. But maybe that night had to happen. Because that night changed me. Showed me being a legend isn't being perfect. It's being honest. And John Wayne was honest. Even when it hurt. Eastwood was 82. A legend himself. He was thinking about shooting a new Western. It wasn't in production, but he was considering it. One day on his set for another film, a young actor came, 25 years old. talented but arrogant. "Mr. Eastwood," the young actor said, "I'm the new generation. Your films are old. Nobody watches them anymore." The crew froze. Everyone waited. Would Eastwood explode? But Eastwood just smiled. That Wayne smile. "Sit down," he said. The young actor sat. Eastwood spoke. "When I was your age, I said the same thing. To John Wayne. On live TV. In front of 12 million people." The young actor was shocked. "And you know what happened?" John Wayne stood up and left. "But before leaving, he gave me a lesson. The greatest lesson." "What lesson?" "That being new isn't being good. Being different isn't being right. An artist's job isn't to be trendy, but to tell the truth. And truth never gets old." Eastwood leaned forward. "You think my films are old? Maybe you're right. But I tell the truth. I tell humanity. And that never gets old." The young actor went silent. "Now go," Eastwood said, "and think. Are you acting to say something, or just to be famous? Because if it's the latter, you're in the wrong business." The young actor left. Eastwood watched, and thought to himself, "Thank you, Duke, I passed on the lesson." That night, Eastwood sat alone at home, with his whiskey, and looked at John Wayne's photograph, hanging on the wall, from the 1950s. "Duke," he whispered, "you were right, about everything, and I was a fool, but I learned." The photograph didn't answer. But Eastwood could have sworn. Wayne smiled. In 2013, a documentary was made, John Wayne, American Icon. Eastwood gave an interview, looked directly at the camera. "People ask me, John Wayne or New Western, classic or modern? But that's the wrong question. The right question is, does it have heart?" John Wayne's films had heart. I belittled that. I was young, stupid. I said too romantic. I said not real. But then I understood, romanticism isn't bad. Hope isn't bad. Showing people good can win. Right matters. That's not bad. Eastwood stopped. His voice cracked. "John Wayne taught me this lesson, in 1973, on live TV, and I never forgot it. Every film I make, I ask myself, does this have heart? Will people leave this film with hope or just darkness? And if the answer is just darkness, I don't make the film, because Duke said, the world is dark enough, art should be light." The interview ended. Camera turned off. The director thanked Eastwood, but Eastwood didn't respond, just looked out the window, into the distance, and thought, "Duke, I hope you're proud. I'm doing my best, today." Clint Eastwood is 94 years old, still directing, still creating, and still, in every film, carrying John Wayne's lesson. Because that night, October 22, 1973, the greatest battles aren't won with fists, they're won with silence. The greatest strength isn't in yelling, it's in truth. The greatest legends aren't perfect, they're honest. John Wayne wasn't perfect. He hadn't gone to war, he'd made many mistakes. But that night, in front of 12 million people, he stood up and told the truth. "I'm a flawed human, but I'm doing my best." And that confession, that honesty, made him a greater legend. Clint Eastwood understood it, late, but he understood. And that lesson still holds true today. If you made a mistake, admit it. If you were wrong, apologize. If there's something to learn, learn it. Because ego is temporary, but honor is forever. In 1973, two legends met. One old, one new. The new tried to destroy the old, but the old just smiled and told the truth. And truth won. It always does.